Okay, hallo zusammen bei Gründerszene. Ich sitze hier in den Hinterräumen der Next 09 Konferenz zusammen mit Jeff Jarvis. Jeff, could you briefly introduce yourself to our audience?
I'm the author of What Would Google Do and auch Was würde Google tun? I blog at buzzmachine.com and
Das
I
ist
teach
dieses Buch, gerade rausgekommen, ich habe es mir gekauft, 20 Euro, klingt spannend.
And I teach journalism at the City University of New York.
Okay, Jeff, this book is about what could startups or media companies learn from Google. Could you please name the 3 strategies which could be most important for very young startups?
Before I get into the strategy, let me just say that I think we'll have a different structure of the economy coming out of this. We're going through more than a financial crisis or a recession. We're going through a key restructuring of the economy and society. And that's really what the book is about. It's not about Google, it's about that restructuring and trying to understand that. And I think we'll see that come in no longer of huge companies owning everything, even though Google is huge. Google is a platform that enables other companies to start on top. And then when they start, there's still a need for networks to pull them together. So I think the opportunities are to build platforms, to build on top of those platforms very inexpensively, and to build networks to bring efficiency to those new companies. That's one, that whole idea of the platform economy. 2 is that I think that Google changed the basic business relationship with people. It trusts us. It listens to us in PageRank. Companies didn't tend to listen. It puts out betas of products which are incomplete and imperfect and says, help us finish this. That becomes collaborative. So, I've certainly learned as a journalist and a writer now that collaborating with the public is so much smarter than trying to do everything yourself in secret. And though Google doesn't fully practice this because they are pretty secretive, but they demand that all of us are open. And so that's the other lesson, I think, is that whether or not Google does this, you need to be very open on the web so you can be discovered on Google. And the more you operate in public, speaking openly and in a human voice, the better off you are.
Okay, you especially named Google as an example for intelligent companies. Which other companies in the internet field would you describe as very innovative and very smart in the architecture of the company?
I think they're mainly the companies we know. Facebook understood that the opportunity was not just to organize our information, but also to help us organize each other. eBay is a platform that enables unlimited numbers of merchants and companies to start on top of it. Twitter doesn't have a business model yet, but it certainly has jumped onto something really important and new. Amazon knows more about what we buy than any other company on earth. I think it's really more a knowledge company than anything else. It also has taken, of course, its back end and turned it into a web services platform that startups can start on, which is very smart. Glam.com is not known as well as others, but it's a huge network of mainly women's sites. iVillage was the biggest women's brand in the US with 20 million uniques. Glam has 110 million uniques. Burda has invested in Glam, and there's Glam.de.
And I think there's also kind of copycat already in Germany. Of course there's a copycat.
I'm really surprised there haven't been more. And I think there's an opportunity to start networks like that across tech blogs, political, and other things. The caveat in this case is always that blogs haven't taken off in Germany the way they have in the US, and I often have a debate when I'm in Germany about why that is. I hear a lot of different theories. But I think there are opportunities to create a platform on which people can report and add value and make money, and that will motivate people to start. So I think you might still see a blog explosion in Germany.
Okay, you named Twitter as one of the examples of a smart company. So if you were an investor, what would be your valuation for Twitter now?
Oh boy, I don't know. Obviously it wasn't to go with the fake valuation of Facebook either, and they apparently turned that down. I think it doesn't matter, because if I were an investor in Twitter, I think the value is out there in the future, so I would hold on.
Yeah, of course, but there must always be a valuation.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not good at doing that.
Okay, and you've also been invited to the World Economic Forum in Davos. Can you tell us a little bit more what was your side on?
Right, I wish that was because I was important. It wasn't. It was because I ended up giving them some advice 3 years ago on blogs, and so that got me invited, and I get to go back now, and it's fun. because you get to see the machers who run the world, there and watch them as kind of a sport. But they also are really, really good at organizing discussion there. In a sense, WEF has always been a community company. And they're now experimenting with Matthias Lübkens, who's with WEF, was here at Next Illinois talking about the tools they use, Twitter and Facebook and so on and so forth. Now it's hard for WEF because they're dealing with people who are very powerful, who get nervous about being public and so on, but they're trying to push them a little bit to be more public, to be more involved in the conversation. And they're brilliant at causing conversations to happen in Davos. They're now trying to find ways to have the conversations extend past Davos to people more than people who come there, and more months of the year. So it seems odd that you think that WEF is a kind of webby company, a webby entity, but in a sense it is, because it's always understood community.
Okay, and what was your opinion on the World Economic Forum? Was it helping to solve the crisis?
I asked at one point this year as I was there, are we amid the people who are the solution or the problem? Well, because they bring the powerful in, we were amid the problem. The bankers and the government people and the leaders of big companies. WEF is always trying to bring in new people. They have tech innovators and others come in. I think we need to do even more of that, because the salvation to the current crisis is going to be not from government bailout, it's going to be from investment. And so finding ways to encourage new companies, encourage and support their investment, encourage the ability to experiment and make mistakes. It's the only way we're going to invent our way out of this.
Okay. Last question. You're also a frequent traveler to Germany. What is your view? What are the main differences between the German internet business landscape and the American landscape?
I think there's a fairly big difference with the media landscapes, because Germany has a robust national marketplace. It's a country of readers. Though the regional newspapers are having trouble just like American papers are, it's worse in America. And the internet marketplace, I don't think is that different. Apart from the fact that blogs haven't taken off quite as much, and Germans have always had the ability, I think, to watch what goes on in America, and then some people say it's copycats. I don't think they're copycats. I think what they do instead is learn from mistakes and try to make it better. So back in the day, before the bubble, when I worked for Condé Nast, I came over to try to invest in companies here, and we invested in one called Cassiopeia. Didn't work out very well, but that was a chat company at the time that tried to learn the lessons from American companies and make it better. And I see that happening in things like 7Load, trying to learn from YouTube. StudiVZ tries to learn from Facebook, and I think that's a smart thing to be able to do.
Okay, very last question. Which model in the US our founders could learn from and build the next copycat?
Well, I don't